Hey friends, my name's Andrea, and this is Journals for Breakfast channel, but I'm doing a little bonus video this week that is based on crafts and knitting. If you are on this channel for journaling content, you're welcome to jump out of here now, and I'll see you guys Sunday morning with a full lineup of journaling content. But I'm throwing a little bonus video of some crafting and knitting content in here. I mentioned in another video recently, if you're here for journals and you pop into a video and I'm talking all about knits, don't panic. They aren't instead of my journaling content each week. They'll just be bonus material, just additions. So, but many of us who are part of this community are also crafters and knitters, and I've had a lot of requests to share some of my knits. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll keep these videos under the playlist that is Now Knits with Andrea. I call it Now Knits because unlike most knitting podcasters who are just prolific knitters, which is why I love watching them, they have so many things going on. I am a monogamous knitter. I don't have a whip parade. I don't have tons of projects happening at the same time. I work on one thing at a time and then I finish it. Which is nice. I mean, it's a nice way to knit, but I don't know that it makes amazingly interesting content, which is why I don't really bother with a lot of knitting episodes. But I haven't made a knitting episode in a long time, so I have a lot of I have a couple of finished projects to show you. Yeah, and I'm going to be doing some embroidery on a cardigan that I made specifically for embroidery. So I'll show you a little bit about that. And yeah, we'll just go through some stuff. Normally what will happen in a knitting episode is I will have whatever I'm currently working on, whatever I just finished, and whatever I think is coming up next. That's kind of the crux of it. But because it's been so long since I've done any crafting content, we have a few things to run through. I am updating my Ravelry page this afternoon. So by the time you see this video, it should be updated. But if you're missing any information or want any links, etc., you can also message me if I've missed something. So a couple quick things. One is my oldest project that is now finished, which is my Second Avenue in these fall colors. I've done this wrap before for a gift for someone else. And these are, I feel like without exception, these are Emma's yarns in just varying colors, and it's her sock yarn. And I finished this up last year. I blocked it last year, but by the time I did, it was so hot in Florida, it just got shoved into a drawer. And then last week it finally cooled off. And when I pulled it out, I realized I'd never woven in the ends. Knitter's life, right? So I took it with me to coffee with a friend last week and worked on weaving in the ends. So it is now officially completed. But I'll tell you the truth. And I put on this little white tunic top because I think you can see the knits better on it. I feel like as long as this might look to you right now, it's too short, but I'll show you why in a minute. It has this really cute scalloped edge, or I guess picot bind off edge on both ends. That's scalloped, the other's picot, I don't know. Anyway, it's a really cute project to work on. It's fun. It's a great stash buster, but because each section is different, you don't get bored with it like you do with a normal scarf. You know what I mean? It's just constantly changing up. So here's the deal. If I attempt to wear this the way that I wear scarves, it's too much material. So I like to put a loop and then pull my scarf through. And so it's too big for that. If I attempt to just pull it around my neck, I feel like, I'm gonna back up. I feel like the problem is there's just actually not enough material to do what I would normally do with like a wrap. I can't get around my neck. So I would normally do a pashmina. I would wrap it over my shoulder like that. If I had a pashmina style scarf, which I have many of that I've bought, not made. But see, I didn't get this. Turn that down and move back. I didn't get this long enough to really do that. So it's an awkward length. I can just put it over my shoulders. Like if you're just sitting on the couch and just want a little bit of warmth, I think it's nice for that. Like if you go to the movies, you can put it in your bag and do that. Oh, I know the other one I tried the other day was to put it on this way and bring it forward. And it's okay. It's okay in this version. But see, it's still too short. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's pretty cute. If you denim jacket and this kind of thing would work, maybe, you know, kind of tucked up and then like a jacket over it, that could fly. I guess I could live with that. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I showed it to you because I actually like that. Okay. I was thinking about taking out one of the ends and adding a few panels. So that's still an option. I mean, that's the thing about knitting. We can always make it longer. So Second Avenue, I hope I'm saying that right. I think I am. Finished object from last year that I never got the ends woven in and then never figured out was actually a little too short. Finished object from this year that I've already worn a couple times is Dots by Casapinka. I love this. And here's the story, Morning Glory. This yarn, there's no point in me even telling you about it because it's gone. I'll tell you about the mohair though. So here's what happened with this yarn. We were at Rhinebeck a few years ago, and on Sunday, we got into the big building, and there was this huge booth, big booth. She was one of those ones that had like several booths worth of booth. You know what I'm talking about? And everything was like, it was either 50% off, buy two, get one. I don't know. There were deals going on, right? I love this. So, that's, you know, it just has a lot, much, look, I'll angle this down a little bit for you. Okay. I'm wearing these big wide leg jeans. I love them. Yeah, the length on this is a lot nicer. Just falls nicely. Yeah, I'm a lot happier with the length on this one. So this beautiful cream colored, or whatever you want to call this, it was that sale on sale at Rhinebeck. And so I bought one skein, I think. Maybe it was two. I bet it was two. Then I got home and realized I loved it. It was so soft and so gorgeous. I wanted to sweater quantities out of it. So I went to go find their website. And I mean, I went on a hunt. I had just been in their booth, you know, a few days before. I couldn't find them. I finally found them and realized why I was having trouble finding them. They were closing. They went to Rhinebeck, it looks like to me, and did that big booth as their last final push. And that's why on Sunday they pushed everything out at super clearance. The company was ending at that moment in time. So I had two skeins of this mystery yarn from a company that's closed. And then I had one skein of this mohair in this pretty peach color. And this is Frankie gray fibers. And I did my dots and then I held it double in the garter startup with this peachy mohair. And I love how it looks. I think this pattern would also be amazing. Chelsea Yarns, Chelsea Luxe has a mohair that's a tweed mohair. It's got little tweed nips in it. And I think like the mohair are kind of these pretty pastels or almost neon pastels. And then there are like neon nips in it. They're beautiful. I will definitely invest in that one day in the future. I think that that would make a really gorgeous version of this, and then do just a solid neon or something for your dots. The thing I'll say about this scarf is that, like all Casapinkas, I think they're really easy to follow. They're very simple to make longer or shorter just based on how much yarn you have and what you're using. You just keep going until it's where you want it to be. I can't honestly tell you if I was longer in mine than the pattern called for or not. I just kept going till I was out of that mystery yarn. And the thing I'll say is I did my dots with a single strand of mohair. Don't do that. That was a lot. I mean, I'm a patient little knitter. It would take me some of these long rows. Let me show you where this is. So it grows, right, as you go. Some of these longer rows, I'd be making dots for a week. Like every single night, Monday through Friday, all I would do is sit and work on one row of dots. So if you don't have the woo, that's not the pattern, that's me and using a single strand of mohair. Doing it with something thicker, something with some teeth in it, some DK or something, man, you'll have no problem. But gosh, moving around that one little strand of mohair on my needles, because to do her dots, I'm not going to give you how because we give the pattern away and it's paid pattern, but there's a lot of movement. You move the yarn back and forth a few times. It's kind of fun. You'll get in the groove and you won't need to refer to it. You will memorize it, but with a single strand of mohair on stainless steel Chaigu needles, wowzer, that was intense. But I do love it. Everything I wear is like denim and white or denim and navy. I just wear really solid colors, so I thought this would be a fun pop, and I love it. It's also buttery soft. I'm really happy with that. Okay, the project I just started is the Manderly scarf. This is a terrible photo. Manderly scarf by And Other Knits, and it's ampersand and other knits. I will put a link to her below, and I'm going to get her set up in my Ravelry. So the Manderly scarf, I will tell you, this is how far I've gotten. So you start with a scalloped edge, and then these scallops will work up the sides of the scarf as well. What I'm doing here is busting out some stash big time. I had this bad boy. It's kind of a beigey pink with tweed, and then this just plain solid pink. I'm holding the two together, and it's taking a little of the yellow out of that beigey pink. You can kind of see it there, but it's pulling a little bit of that yellow back for me because I don't want so much yellow by my skin, and putting a little softer pink to it. But that pink is so pink. It's kind of a true ballet slipper. I already have a lot of sweaters that I've done in this pink. I don't need another pink sweater right now, so I think this is a better use for it. I was going to show you the bands on those. Let me show you. So the all pink is this guy. I've seen a lot of knitters using Juniper Moon lately. We have a knit shop down in Ormond Beach, which is not far from here, and she carries Juniper Moon. I've done a few sweaters in that. I really love it. It's the Harrio Fine. It is butter soft. And then the tweed I'm using is from Eternity Ranch Knits from Daytona Beach, Florida. So I'll list those on Ravelry, but basically what you're doing is either using a DK weight yarn, or in my case, I'm carrying 2 fingerings, and they're true fingerings. This is a really thin yarn. And it says on it size-wise that it's fingering. I'm not guessing. Even the tweed, as tweedy as it is fingering. Really fine. So the two together are giving me that DK weight. The Manderly scarf, what I'll say about it is it's a scarf, so it's long, and that's going to be a pretty yawn sort of project in some ways. But once you get your scallop bottom put together, then you end up with rows of its garter of just nonstop knit, and then you work your scallops, and nonstop knit, and then you work your scallops. I like a really mindless knit for evenings. I do my best brain functioning stuff before about 2 or 3 p.m. And after that, I just start to cruise downhill, intelligence level wise. So complicated knits are not my favorite thing. I really use knitting to just keep my hands engaged while I'm watching TV, watching shows, movies. We're big baseball fans, so when baseball season kicks into gear, it'll be on every single afternoon / evening. And that's what I like. I want something in my hands that can just keep my hands busy, but I don't have to like really work my brain to make it happen. So the thing about the Manderly also is that it's beautiful done. I think it's one of those garments that has a way of looking like a kind of yawn of a knit in some ways. Like you're like, I don't know, would I have the patience for that? But the fact is the finished product, if it were hanging in a shop, I would buy it. No question about it. Yeah, it's simple, but it just looks beautiful on. The two that I've seen so far done beyond the ones that the designer has showcased are from Gaina Jane on her YouTube channel. And if you just search Gaina Jane here, you'll find her, or Tales from Cuckoo Land. She has 2 channels. And I think Tales from Cuckoo Land is still all her knitting content. She did one that was featured in her Christmas vlogs on Gaina Jane, and it's just precious on. I mean, there's something about those big scallops. It just looks beautiful on a female body. And then Cherry Heart, which is Sandra. I love her podcast. Her colors are just so inviting. She has this studio space with all of her knits and her quilts and her crochet, and her color choices just, I mean, they're almost, you can almost taste them. They're juicy, like they're just so beautifully like fresh peaches, like fresh fruit in a basket. She just has this way about color, and she is doing a Manderley in a gradient right now, and it is stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I hope you'll check that out. Yeah, so I think the thing that first drew me to the Manderley was just how cute it was on Gaina. But then the next thing is, I said, did she say Manderley? Is that what she said? And I raced over to go look it up on Ravelry to see if that was actually the name of it. My most reread all-time favorite book ever is Rebecca. And Manderley, of course, is the estate featured in that book by Daphne du Maurier. And so I was like, I have to have a Manderley scarf. I've read Rebecca 200 times. If anyone needs a Manderley scarf, it's me. But I did sort of look at it and say, oh, that is a lot of nonstop garter. Is there stuff to keep me attracted about it? And what I love about the designer, who is the And Other Knits, Ami Lowden, she does a great job of describing her patterns and what to expect. And it sounded great to me, enough to keep me interested, but also that no-brainer stuff I'm really looking for. One of the reasons that I knit kind of solid color top-down sweaters almost exclusively is not only because they're no-brainers. I don't have to mess with charts. I don't have to worry about color work. I don't have to be knitting with two hands. It's also what I wear. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, if I went to a shop and this were hanging, I don't know if I would have bought it. I don't know if I would have. Like, it was fun to knit. The colors are right for me. I picked the colors. But what I'm attracted to in my real life, there's a cardigan I got for Christmas. Like, solid black cardigan. So what I'm attracted to wearing in real life doesn't always make for super fun knitting. Yeah, I do a lot of solid color top down sweaters, but that's what I buy too. So so I was kind of looking at that Manderley and just thinking, look, it may not be the most exciting knit, but it's definitely going to keep your hands busy. And the finished product, if I saw that thing hanging in a shop, I would have bought it in a heartbeat. And I do think it's a beautiful design. It just has a way of just looking great on the body. So knits that I am working on right now. Okay. This is a cardigan that I just finished, and it just goes directly into what I just said. I knit a top down basic cardigan. Excuse the embroidery ring. I'll show you that in a minute. In a beigey pink. Like, does she not have enough pink sweaters? Nope, I don't. And I'll tip this down and step back a little bit. In a beigey pink and a little bit cropped. This is embroidery hoop. I'll show you that in a minute. A little bit cropped. That's how I like them. But some features here. Look how that sleeve looks like a set-in sleeve. It's not. It's just how it's built. And she does a faux seam. I'll show you another one. I didn't do it in this, and I'll tell you whose pattern this is in a minute, but I made some major modifications to the hem, and I'm about to embroider on it. So big, boring, plain, no button, simple cardigan. I made this cardigan to embroider on it. This is one of my goals for this year, is to actually do some embroidering on knits. I've played with that before, but this time I really had a game plan. I knew what I wanted to knit embroider and wear. And so where I'm going to start with this is on the bottom back. So it's the back right hem right about here. And the reason is, if I do a lousy job, that's not a spot where you'll see it. Like, I'm eventually going to have a feather. I'll show you the pattern in a minute. I'm eventually going to have a feather kind of up here. I don't want that to be my first feather, because if I'm not very good at stitching yet, I don't want it right in my face. Let's keep that down here by my butt. And then as I get better, we'll move further in and further up with the feathers. the pattern that I'm doing for the feather, I've traced onto some stabilizer. So there's the feather pattern. The thread that I'm going to use is this like shiny silk, somewhere between a taupe and a pink, because I held two yarns together. So there's the hoop to make this, and you can almost see the marling a little bit in there. I held two yarns together, mohair in this sort of dusty pink and a linen quill in kind of a taupey purple. And I'll list them both on the Ravelry page so you can find them. It was a stash buster, but it created this kind of in-between pink. I mean, grayish pink, beige pink. And then I'm going to put this thread for the feathers around it. We'll see how it does. The stabilizer that I'm using, I bought a big roll of online, and I just cut out pieces. And it's so sheer that, here's the book that I'm getting the pattern from. It's so sheer that I didn't need a light box or anything to do the tracing. Let me find the pattern for you. So here's the feather pattern. And then I just put this stabilizer over it and traced it with a pencil and ended up with that. Yeah. And then this stabilizer is water dissolvable. So you will put the sweater into the sink with your wool wash or whatever, and this will just disappear. The fabric, the stabilizer will just disappear, and your little feather embroidery will stay in place. How I figured that out was through this book. This is a Lanya publication, and she explains in here about water soluble embroidery cloth, and then, or embroidery stabilizer. And then back here, she shows you how to get rid of it. Now, this book also has all kinds of embroidery tips and techniques and patterns. I will get into it. But for my first attempt, I just wanted one image that I could attempt with a straight stitch and either a satin stitch or a chain stitch to just kind of beginner embroidery here, right? See how I do. So that is what's going to happen with that. Now, this cardigan is technically the, sorry about my beat up pattern from my bag. It's technically this cardigan from Anna Strick. Anna Strick. You guys may be familiar. Again, I'll get Ravelry uploaded. If you don't do Ravelry and need something from me, you can message me. What attracted me about this cardigan originally is that I think the hem, but for sure the button band and collar are double knit. And I thought that would be a fun technique to try. Okay, let me get my head back in the shot. So here's what happens. I made another one. And here it is. This is Frankie Gray Fibers. This is a much denser fabric than my two strands of linen quill one strand and mohair one strand. This is a DK weight from Frankie Gray. I'll show it to you in a minute. And I can't really try this on right now because the hem is on a stitch holder here, because you pick up, somehow I'm going to pick up from this button band, no, from this hem, and start the double knit button band. So the hem is not double knit. And then I'll pick up here and work this double knit button band. I'm kind of glad I looked at that because I was thinking I had to do something with the hem too. And then I will have another of these cardigans, but with a double knit button band. My other one, I did a no button button band. So I just picked up stitches and ran a 1x1 rib on both sides. I did not bother with double knitting. I wanted it done so I could get my embroidery going. And I knew I didn't have any intention of wearing this closed. So I just created my own. Picked up stitches, double knit button band all the way around the collar in one fell swoop. So picked up at the bottom, picked up stitches, came back and started a 1x1 rib around and then back around again. So made up. Let me tell you something. I did something so crazy on this sweater. So see this hem? I had gotten into my head that this pattern called for a sewn bind off. So I held the stitches before the ribbing. I put them on hold. I wasn't reading the pattern. See, I'd already done one and I was thinking that I knew more than I know. So I put these stitches on hold and then I decide, no, get your hem done and move on with your button band. And I got into my head that the reason I put them on hold is because she had done a sewn bind off at the bottom and it was going to be a pain. So I decided I would do the kind of easy sewn bind off, which is a Stephen West video. If you look up Stephen West sewn bind off, you'll find it. It's a really easy video. It gives a really stretchy bind off in a ribbing. It's technically Elizabeth Zimmerman's sewn bind off. This is not an Italian sewn bind off. You're not going to Kitchener stitch, none of that stuff. It's a really simple technique. Holy macaroni. I got about 2 inches of it sewn bound off the first night I worked on it and was like, what is happening? It took me a week. I'm not saying I'm a super fast knitter. I'm pretty proficient. It took me a week. Like I said, like 5 nights, like with those like rows of dots to get this entire hem all the way across. I mean, it's a lot of hem done even in that easy sewn bind off. I can't even imagine if I've chosen an Italian sewn bind off. So then I go back to the pattern and I realize that you're not supposed to bind it off. The reason I did not remember how long the sewn bind off took on this pattern is because there is no sewn bind off on this pattern. What you do, where you put your stitches on hold is not up here. You do your 1x1 ribbing and put those stitches on hold. Then we're going to start working the double stitch button band and collar somehow coming off of this. I just didn't look back at the pattern. I was like, you're smart. You've done this sweater before. Take it to at least where the other one is. I call this one my Frankie Gray because that's the yarn that I used. Take it to at least the Frankie Gray version. But I do it without looking at it. So I go through the whole 1x1 and then create my own insanity of a sewn bind off. Now I realize I've got this thing bound off. I'm not undoing it. I wasn't going to undo it. So I said, just make a cardigan. I just picked up my stitches and created that no button band and moved on. I can practice the double knit button band concept and actually follow this pattern when I get back to this guy. So why did I put a pause on him if I'm a monogamous knitter? Because I ran out of yarn. I ran out of yarn. So I had to reorder from Frankie Gray. And of course, all that tariff insanity was going on at the time. So I did finally get there. And what I was carrying is Sky High in Frankie Gray. And then I also, you can see it has this almost kind of marled look to it. I think it's so good. I'm gonna take a sip of my drink. I also carried this Plymouth Yarns Surrey. Oh, something in that is causing my allergies to flare up. Allergies here are terrible right now. So if I've had bright red eyes the last few videos, that's why. And so this is kind of a, I consider this kind of an ice blue. This is kind of an aqua blue. And the two together created this kind of marled blue. And I was thinking to myself, this was like a icy winter blue. You know, that's kind of where I was going with it. And I think it is. I do think it is. That's what I was planning in my mind, was like blonde hair, white long sleeve shirt, blue jeans, bright kind of winter blue. But then somebody made a comment about it that saw it in my knitting bag. And it sort of threw my game a little bit. I was like, oh, maybe that's not the color I thought it was. Does that ever happen to you? Don't let other people tell you what your stuff is. I think it's a nice icy winter blue, and I'll be happy with it. So yeah, these two, I'm going to get back to this and get that double knit button band done. I just knew I couldn't do it in December. Like, are you kidding? I need quiet and bandwidth and focus. And I had a lot of other stuff happening in December. So even though it was a very calm and good December, it was, it's December. It's just full of other stuff. So I'm going to get back to that one. That's the only thing that's left to do on that. And I don't have any embroidery plans for it, except to say I have a sensation. I don't know if this is a concern, but my fear a little bit with this embroidery project is that it's going to get addictive. And before I know it, did you ever have a neighbor whose mom had the bedazzler and she just could not stop putting rhinestones on like backpacks and lunch boxes and denim jackets? I'm a little nervous that if I get this embroidery thing down, I'm going to start embroidering on anything that is not nailed down. You know what I mean? So right now I don't have plans for embroidery on this blue sweater, but that does not mean it's not going to happen. It is certainly a nice big blank palette. I'll tell you something else about the embroidery though. I just told you my knits are boring. They are top down solid color sweaters, typically in shades of pink. I mean, it's really simple. I've had some of them for a long time. I'm wondering if I can kind of revamp their life for me a little bit by throwing some embroidery on them. One thing I will say about this book is she does give you some really clear instructions about putting embroidery on knits, but also taking it off, how to get your threads snipped without cutting your sweater below it. So yeah, I suppose I could try, right? A little bit of embroidery and just see if I like adding it to the stuff. And if I think I've made a terrible mistake, I could just pull it all back out. So that's kind of what's happening with that. I have some overhead shots that I've probably dropped in here of kind of piecing this together. My embroidery skills are low. It's new to me. I did an embroidery advent last year and this year, and I'm putting photos in now so you know what I'm talking about. It was so enjoyable. And I'm going to put the link to the maker of that embroidery advent. Blooming Hill Farms is her name. And she's an Etsy seller. And she sends you this advent box that is so much fun. Every day you get a little envelope to open up, or you get a little box to open up. I don't think I have any here. Inside is your thread for the day, and then a little QR code. You just go right to her YouTube channel and she shows you the stitch for the day. They are a delight. And I had no idea what I was doing when I started my first one. This year I did better. Like, I understood the advent, kind of how to find the videos. Not that the finding the videos was ever a challenge. My skills at embroidery, I'm saying, improved. It is so much fun to open up. And some days it's not like you have to do big stuff every day. Some days you just get a little gift. There is no stitching. So you know what I mean? She gives you a little breathing room throughout the month. And yeah, so the two hoops I'm showing you are my attempts. Peace on Earth with that super squiggly weird writing. That was my very first one. Silent Night, I think it came out better. I adore the Christmas trees in them. I love how they came out. And this year's had candles on the tree with a little flame. So precious. So yeah, I hope this year to get a little bit more of kind of needlework going in some ways. Um, but I like the idea of needlework and knitting kind of working together. Yeah, so that's what I have right now. And let me know if you have any questions about my knitting. I'll keep you guys posted on how these projects do. And I'll get that Ravelry updated for you too. So yeah, I'll let you know how the Manderley's going. I did that entire scalloped edge last night while watching a show with my husband. So obviously it was very easy to follow the instructions and also look at the TV. And it moves quick. It's garter in what amounts to DK weight. And so, yeah, I think I'll be tearing through that scarf pretty quickly. And And I'll have to debate about this Second Avenue. You guys let me know what you think. I think that shorter, like I just showed you with like a denim jacket, would fly. I just would have to be somewhere cooler. It's very rare that you need something around your neck and a jacket where I live, but we'll see how we do. Okay, a little now knits episode. It's fun to get a little crafty with you guys. Back to journaling content in a moment. Thanks for being here. Bye.